Now you can good morning.
Good morning, I'm Topher. I'm a junior, I believe.
I'm Zach Williams, I'm a senior.
I'm Dylan, I'm a senior.
I'm Ryan, I'm a senior.
Today we're going to be talking with you guys about the developmental movement of balance in the kids at the ECLC. So to start off, we're going to talk to you guys about the background of how we kind of planned getting the kids to participate with us, and then observing how they were progressing through each of the balance phases. So first of all, what we were using to test the kids in their balance was the balance beam that they had up there. And it was nice because you could put it in a couple different directions to make it harder, but for the most part we just left it in the main balance beam section. So we're going to go through 3 steps that we took. Step 1 was getting the kids to participate. And to be honest, the performance of either what we did or what another kid did was the best motivator for these kids to want to jump in and perform with us. By walking on the balance beam with the rest of the kids just running around, they would see those kids doing it and be like, oh, I'm going to run over here. But their attention span was very short. They would generally come up, walk across it, and then run away and go do something else. So each kid was different, but for the most part they were motivated by the movement based on what they saw another kid doing. So it was kind of a challenge for them to be better than the other kid, or that's what we got from it. Go ahead, next slide. All right, step 2. So once we had taken kind of the baseline of how each kid could perform the balance beam just by itself, we were then able to progress the kids. And through our directions, we were able to kind of coach them on how to be better in the balance beam. So we used some verbal cues such as put your arms out to balance better, 1 foot in front of the other, because a lot of them, when we were trying to go straight, they would try to shuffle or they would keep 1 foot behind the other, so we would try to get them to walk 1 foot in front of the other. By giving them a goal, by standing at the end of the balance beam, we were able to have them walk more directly toward us rather than focusing on having to balance as much. They were focused on just getting towards us. And then watch me, if they didn't know how to do it, we would perform it, or watch him or her. When we had kids that were doing it well, we would have those kids watch them. And then the last one, concentrate on, that was just kind of a more constructive thing that we used. If they were doing something that wasn't exactly what we wanted to see, we would encourage them to do something different, focus more on keeping those arms out, don't look down, look up, all that kind of stuff. So go ahead to the next slide. All right, and the last thing we did was working on the development of the self for these kids. A few of them, when we initially asked them to do the movement, they were telling themselves, no, I can't do that. However, the solution was encouraging them to try again, and then when they saw another kid do it, they would be more willing to even try. And then the last one, telling them that was a great try. We didn't necessarily tell them, hey, you did a really good job if they didn't perform the movement, but we did say, hey, you're trying, we can tell you're trying hard, that was good, go ahead and jump on back on and try again. And then part of building the self-esteem for the kids, we rewarded them with stickers, which made them feel good when they were able to perform the movement correctly. And then telling them they did well when they didn't mess up or fall. So when they did perform the movement successfully and how we wanted them to, we did reward them and tell them, hey, you did a good job. And then the last thing, building self-confidence. You could tell that they were very confident in themselves when they did a great job and we asked them to perform it for another kid who didn't know how. Next slide. All right. So when we jump into our videos here in just a second, we want you guys to understand that there's 3 types of balance. Postural, which is a constant monitoring of body, and that's unconscious. We don't really think about that. All of us are doing it right now, keeping our heads up, shoulders back, all that kind of stuff. And then static, which is in a stationary position, and dynamic balance in motion. So these are all what are incorporated in the balance beam. There are times when they're obviously always doing postural balance, but they're also doing static when they would take a step and then maybe they were wobbly, so they would just stay there for a second, get their balance again, and then they would go right back into the dynamic motion of moving. So for our first video, go ahead to the next one. We're going to start off with an example of a girl who was too immature to progress in these because she was a little bit attention seeking, and all she wanted to do was intentionally fall. You can see her kind of jump off the balance beam. And then she also stands up and she screams right here and tries to get more attention. We had her go on the balance beam about 5 or 6 times, and she did the same thing. But she would always jump off and then get back on, and then walk a step and jump off the other side. And then I'm gonna let Ryan know, take it from here.
Alright, so now we're going to talk about gender differences. And in this video we have both 2 4-year-olds, Christian and Emily. And as you can see here, Christian, he's really wobbly. He tries to put his arms out sometimes, but only after instruction. Well, that's literally, just go ahead and let it goes a little bit more after this.
My apologies.
No worries. Here we have literally Christian versus Annalise.
Christian was really big in like not letting Annalise go. He just wanted to keep going.
So Christian. So now we've instructed him, try to put your arms out like this. And he does a little better, but he still falls off. He falls off a lot. And his arms are wobbly. He doesn't keep straight. But Annalise, after seeing what Christian has done and the modeling, is a lot better at the balance beam. She can walk forward and use her arms well. And she only falls maybe once or twice compared to Christian. So this assessment shows that Annalise is more developed or more mature in this activity than Christian is at this point. So I really found that like this is a generally good example for the genders. We had 2 main students that we watched were Ruth and Benny, and Ruth was younger, but she was able to do the activities faster than Benny was. But this video is here just to show you at the same age how different the development can be. So in this video, we've got a new element. We have the children try to walk through a hoop as they go through the balance beam. And starting off right here, she has trouble walking even on the balance beam to start. And because of her tallness, it might be an issue with this getting low and through the hoop. And she's able to figure it out though. So here's that static balance Zach was talking about. As she analyzes the hoop and says, what do I do with this thing?
Her height has a lot to do with it. Also, she was the
No,
tallest.
eventually she says, here, let me help you out a little bit.
She wasn't sure how to get all the way down to get her head through, and then also bring her legs through first, or whether she should put her legs through or her head through first.
And then Micah doesn't understand that the objective of the goal is to get through the hoop without grabbing it or using your hands. So he is not able to get through this hoop even with Noah's help, although she is able to do that.
What was his name?
That's Micah.
Micah was I think a class favorite because he was eager to please everybody from the videos I've seen and what we were doing here. He was eager to please. Whether he was able to do the movements or not was clearly not always the case.
Sorry, our videos are buffering a lot.
Okay, so here a little bit difference in age.
We'll let it buffer. Go ahead.
So we noticed when Ruth went that she didn't really need as much instruction as Hudson, but thanks to the other groups, we realized that it might have been because he responded better in Spanish. But he was able to do, although he was able to balance a little bit better than she was, she did it with less instruction.
And in this activity, we're having them hold a bucket full of sand, so they're off
You can
balance.
watch him. He's going to keep switching hands. Even though we told him not hold it in one hand.
I know what's going to died in the background of laughter. This became a, see how he almost starts to pour it out? The kids were kind of getting fed up with it, so we had to make it more of a game for some reason. They enjoy pouring stuff out because it's, boys are chaotic.
And so
and whatnot,
once Topher explained it again, he eventually used one hand. And then the hoop, she needed help to use two hands to go through it. And then Hudson was able to go through like right away. And so when we looked at just basically overall, the 4-year-olds were able to do it for the most part, mostly because they probably had a little bit more experience, probably. And we think that because they probably had more time to progress their motor programs along. And then these are the 2 progressions that we did.
So we'll start with Ruth.
We have the full progression that they went through in these videos.
Yeah, we started with them going forwards, and when they were able to do that, we would move to sideways. And then once they got sideways down, we would get them to go backwards. Again, apologies for the technology. Their videos are all glued together, so they're buffering. As we will see here, let's move it along a little bit.
It's all right.
So we'll see, so she did not like, Ruth did not like to go backwards, but she was very eager to get this bucket in her hand for whatever reason. And then I think that was an idea from, no, you gave us the hoop idea, it was the ladies that were helping the teachers. They were, they said, well, why don't we get them, one of the girls get her interested. We tried to make it a game for her because she didn't want to do anything. It was a separate girl that we don't have. And they said, do you want to try it with a bucket? So we picked up the bucket on that round. And then, got the hoop that we're seeing with.
As you can see in the back, Zach's trying to demonstrate a good technique to go through the hoop without using your hands, and she doesn't quite seem to get that.
Now, Benny was an all-star. He was able to fly through the balance fairly easily. As you can see.
In the beginning, when I said that some of our students were telling themselves, no, I can't do that, Benny was actually one of the first ones we tried to get to do it, and when we asked him, he was like, no, I can't do that, and then as soon as he saw someone go, he tried it, and he actually became one of our best kids to attempt walking on the balance beam.
Also, as one of the other groups, I think it was you guys with the swing and the tongue protrusion, Benny had his mouth open the entire time. Like, even when he would come off the balance beam and come up and talk to me or Zach, he would come to you and then he would talk to you. He would always, he was always processing something, so that was interesting to see.
I think for the most part, our students didn't really look for a reward, but we did hand out stickers to some of the girls. Benny took one that was a lipstick, but he thought it was an ice cream.
We don't identify gender roles or anything like that here. We're all Benny was actually Benny came in solace both days. I think he was one of the few kids that we had to go out and get.
Benny just loved the balance beam.
Yes.
Even though he sometimes struggled with it, it was just fun for him. So he was always coming back and always wanting to try harder and harder. And then that's him with the bucket.
Yep.
He fell right off and he's like, I'll try again. And he gets back right at the beginning.
Yep.
Just another little note that's noteworthy. Normally, when they got about to the last step, or so of the beam rather than finishing it out, if you watch them, they'll hop off. Because it's like, oh, get done earlier, I'm gonna not balance for that extra step, I'm just gonna hop off for that extra foot or two that is left on the balance beam.
Benny took to instructions better than anybody did. Benny listened. If he couldn't do it the first time, he was very eager to try a second, third, until he got it. And that is all of our thoughts.
Questions, comments?
Yes.
Do you think the girls were able to do it better because they had a lower center of balance?
Probably, especially, like, that's very visible when that girl was really